Hi everyone, Kaz Elkin back once again with a video for the Beginner to Pro series, a series where I'm aiming to go from being an absolute beginner in coding with no coding experience whatsoever to hopefully being a pro at some point in the not too distant future. This video is going to follow on from my previous video on language selection where I picked the coding languages that I'm starting out with, and this one's going to focus on resource selection, so the learning resources that I'm planning on using to go from beginner to pro, at least this beginner stage. My choices aren't necessarily the right choices, but if you find yourself in the same boat out there, you know, you're a beginner, no experience whatsoever, maybe if I just outline my thought process behind picking some of these, you'll find that useful as well. You know, it's really easy to get drowned in all of the free stuff and the paid stuff out there, and there are lots of different textbooks, and there probably is no right or wrong answer, but I focused on certain things. I'm going to explain why in this video. Maybe you'll find that useful, and hopefully it'll help you inform your own decisions when you come to do this yourself. I'm going to break this video down into 3 different types of resource. So one, we've got paid online resources. So these are kind of like courses online that I've actually shelled out money for. I'm expecting these to be the most useful of the 3, hopefully, because I've paid for them. Second, we've got free online resources. So there's lots of free stuff out there. I'm just going to try and narrow down my use of free online resources to 3 different resources. I'll set what those out are in this video. And the third resource I'm going to use is textbooks. So I've bought a few paperback books for when I get sick of looking at my screen, basically. I'm going to include price tags where that's relevant for all of these resources, so you can get a picture of how much I've spent setting myself up for this coding from beginner to pro project. And you know, hopefully if you've only got 1 language instead of starting to learn 2, you might even be able to like half or you know, turn this price into a far smaller amount than what I've paid for it. So I'm just going to jump straight into it and start looking at the paid online resources that I'm using. Moving on to the first paid online resource, we have the Python Mega Course, Build 10 Real-World Applications. This is on Udemy, and it's $14.99. Well, I got it for $14.99. It was apparently down from £200 in the flash sale. I'm always very suspicious of like enormous, like over 90% discounts, so I would check and see if you can get it for a similar kind of price. I think I would be pretty reluctant to pay £200 for any paid online resources, given how much competition there is out there between courses. I don't think there's any need to pay that amount of money, unless it really is touted by, you know, basically Bill Gates as being the absolute dog's bollocks in terms of online courses, but that's the only way I would shell out that amount of money for it. The reason that I chose it is because it focuses on projects, and one of the messages that's coming through loud and clear from a lot of from a lot of YouTubers who've got more experience, and a lot of articles that are written by experienced developers, is that project-based learning is the way to go. It's so much better than trying to learn in the abstract. So this course focuses on projects and actually building applications, which is one of the key reasons it appealed to me. There are lots of other really good courses on Udemy that kind of cover the same material. So, you know, if this one doesn't float your boat, or more importantly, if it's not on sale and it's trying to be sold at £200, maybe have a little look at the other courses on Udemy and see if any others tick similar boxes for you as well. Next up is something we're all probably familiar with, Skillshare. So Skillshare have had a pretty aggressive marketing strategy on YouTube for the past couple of years, and it's worked because I have now signed up to my 2 months free premium, and then I will pay $13.99 a month for Skillshare Premium, where I'll get access to all the courses that they have online. They have loads of courses on JavaScript and Python, lots of online lectures and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that this will be a useful complementary piece to the Python Mega Course that I've got. So if I bump into any problems in building the applications that the Python Mega Course recommends, or you know, if I just want to do something else on my own, I'm hoping that Skillshare is going to have, you know, a big enough bank of online content that I'll be able to just use this, and I'm hoping to get a lot of value out of it and really sort of test Skillshare and see whether or not it really is the best online paid platform for this kind of thing. Moving on now to the free online resources, and first up, no surprise to anyone, YouTube. YouTube has so much stuff on it, so many thousands of hours of content, that it's probably a go-to for most people when learning anything, and my beginner to pro journey is no exception. I even saw an 11-hour introductory Python lecture on YouTube. Not that I plan to spend 11 hours watching that lecture, but it just goes to show that there's just so much stuff on here. So many experienced developers have put up free content and really useful stuff that beginners like us can learn from. So YouTube is definitely going to be one of the key resources that I use going forward. Maybe even more so than the likes of Skillshare. To be determined as to whether or not Skillshare can compete with the amount of free stuff on YouTube. Next is a website that I haven't heard of before, but it's called Kaggle. Kaggle Courses comes highly recommended from a couple of experienced figures that I've seen on YouTube who've recommended beginner courses to. I haven't had a look at any of these courses in great detail, but they seem to be pretty comprehensive and they seem to be varied. So I'm just going to trust what I've read and what I've heard online, that Kaggle is going to be a useful place to get free online content. And last on the free online resources list is Codecademy. So this is one of the more well-known ones. It's one that I'd heard of before, although I never actually used it, but it's free. It comes highly recommended. It seems to have been around a while, and it has apparently a large bank of free online content. So this is going to be the third free online thing that I use in going from beginner to pro. Honestly, given the fact that I've got the two paid online resources and YouTube and Kaggle, I'm not sure how much of Codecademy I'm going to use, but I will give it a go and I'll let you know whether or not I think it's better or worse than Kaggle, or whether or not it's better than worse than some of the other resources. Alright, moving on to textbooks. We're going old school now. First of all, we've got Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. This book came highly recommended from some YouTubers who looked experienced and in the know with this kind of thing. Also had great reviews on Amazon. It cost £21. Rather worryingly, it does have a sentence in the introduction basically saying that it's not designed to take someone from beginner to pro. So, a bit disappointed about that if that ends up being the case, because I spent 21 quid on this fucker. But, notwithstanding that, it does still come highly recommended for beginners. So, I am expecting to get some use out of this. Second, we have JavaScript and jQuery, the missing manual. Again, good reviews, came recommended as a really good beginner book on JavaScript. Don't really know what jQuery is, but I will find out when I open this bad boy. And finally, I picked up HTML and CSS. Admittedly, I only really picked this up because it came in the frequently bought also bucket in Amazon, so thank you for that, Jeff Bezos. This was only £16, so if I don't see too much use out of it, I'm not going to be too heartbroken, but I did read online that it's good to have something on HTML and CSS as like a companion piece to something on JavaScript, so hopefully I will end up using it. Alright, that's everything for resource selection. I now have everything I need to actually start coding, to put my money where my mouth is and start clocking some hours behind the desk. Everything that I've spoken about today from Amazon, links are in the description in case you want to pick a copy up for yourself. My next video will be my week 1 update video, where I'll show you how my first week went. I'll show you a breakdown of the times that I spent on different resources, so you'll be able to tell whether or not some resources are more worth the money than others. So thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the next video.